Hi, everybody. I'm Gwendolyn Sterk from Sterk Family Law, and I'm privileged today to have Steve Balich with us, who is the county board member from District 7. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. So you are the representative for Homer Glen, Lockport, and then New Lenox north of I-80.
Right, in the
right?
city of Lockport.
City of Lockport, got it. And so as a result of that, you are actively involved as a county board member, and you're familiar with the economic development issues
Yes.
here in Will County. Is that
Yes.
correct? You know, and you can imagine we practice family law, and we practice in more than one county. But in Will County, economic development is a huge issue for a lot of people because when their life changes come about, they're looking for new jobs. They're wondering about locating their businesses, whether they should stay in the community, right?
You're absolutely right.
And so we also have the issue of the flight out of Illinois. So we want to talk and understand what's happening in our own area about what's going on.
It's a big, big, important issue.
It is. So, you know, the real additions or the benefits of having economic development within the community would be what, would you say?
Well, the first thing would be it brings revenue into the community, and we need revenue really bad.
Yeah, in order to compete and
we don't want
build
to
your
raise
infrastructure.
taxes,
Right.
so if you don't bring in more revenue from somewhere, your taxes are going to go so high you can't live here.
Sure, and then and I think sometimes we think that a company is just going to bring in tax revenue for what that company does. But what we don't think about sometimes is when a company comes in and they hire employees, those employees are also bringing tax revenue in. So it's like a spiral effect.
Well, it even does more than that when you think about it. Now you hire somebody, you give them a job that they didn't have.
Right.
Great.
Right.
Now they turn around, they go to lunch, they go to McDonald's or Burger King.
Sure.
Or if they have like a office job, they might go to a local restaurant.
Right, so it's all just building one after another, right?
And they leave their job, they go get gas.
Right, so it's an ultimate tax revenue. I think the other thing is you touched on, is the issue of jobs. Is creating those jobs is certainly a consequence, and it's a great consequence of having that development structure there. And the third one really is building up our local services. How would you describe that?
Well, one of the things that we might use the word accessibility.
Sure.
And people like where I live in Homer Glen, if they want to go to Walmart, that's a big, giant, inexpensive store, so to speak.
Right.
So you have to go to Lockport or Orland Park.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why not one in Homer Glen? You know, people say that. You know,
Right.
in restaurants, you want to get an Italian restaurant. Well, we have one in Homer Glen that's real, real good. Then we have, well, actually, we have two.
Okay.
That we have a couple Mexican places, but people want more.
They want more
types.
choices, and they want to have the ability. I think that even when you travel in the United States now, you know, you're seeing the same things more local because people want to have that same accessibility. They don't want to have to go into Chicago, or they don't want to have to go into a larger community to be able to get that. They want it right home in their local community. So economic development can have that benefit as well. But I think that we also have to look at that there's difficulties with that economic development.
Correct.
As well. And I think that Will County's facing that on so many levels because we really don't have the infrastructure to support what's happening. Would you agree?
Yeah, we're down in Lockport, which is part of my district. They have a lot of warehouses.
Okay.
Well, the warehouses are right with the houses. You know, it's a subdivision.
Sure.
So now when the truck comes in, if they're found their GPS, it'll send them down streets that they shouldn't be on.
Okay.
And now they get lost, and now the truck driver, who really shouldn't be blamed, it's not his fault, but that's what happens, he gets blamed. They're making turns in the middle of a subdivision, and they're ripping the streets up, they're going on people's grass, you know, they're overweight on some streets.
Sure.
It's just a nightmare for a truck driver.
Well, it's a nightmare for the town, too, because first of all, it's for the community itself.
Well,
You
the
don't want to have
people
that. Right, people don't want that.
Oh, my God. The
And then,
calls.
you know, you've got the damage to the roadway, et cetera, so that becomes some of the infrastructure problems. You know, and talking about that infrastructure, correct me if I'm wrong, but 3.5% of the annual GDP runs right through Will County on I-80, is that right?
I believe you're correct.
And so that's a huge number. Tell us about what's happening with the intermodal transportation issue in Will.
Well, we have the intermodals are the largest inland port in the North American hemisphere.
Right here in Will County.
Right here in Will County.
It's hard to believe, isn't it?
People don't believe it. But
They
it's
don't
true.
believe it, but if you get on 80 at different times, you'll believe it because you'll
Yeah.
see all that transportation going in and out.
So when you bring up 80, there's the
topic.
There's the infrastructure problem
Right.
that tops everything. You know, prior to us finding out it's in imminent danger of collapsing,
Right.
well, the idea was brought forth, which wasn't decided on, but the idea was to build a toll road next to 80 for trucks.
Okay.
And then when the road's done, then go and fix 80
Okay.
that exists now. Well, it was getting talked back and forth, you know.
Never came to
You know
fruition,
how
though,
government
right?
is, it just takes forever.
Yeah.
Well, now all of a sudden, I-80 is bad. We got to fix it. So right now, they are trying to fix it, but it's not ever going to be fixed 100%. You know, they're going to make it so it's safe.
Right.
You know, because it's not safe without doing this other work.
Right,
But
certainly with the bridge issues and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's also so much volume there, you
Too
know, in
much.
order to fund that, those become some of the difficulties. And I think that's really one of the third difficulties, is that our federal government, you know, funding of that has not kept up with the times, so to
Right, they
speak.
should be, if I could get the federal government to come out, I'd be telling them, hey, you gotta fix this. If you do away with this, you're gonna make a real hardship for the entire country.
Right, because of all the
All
transportation
these
occurring,
trucks
right.
need to go.
Yeah. They
And-
need, and they're really moving through, passing through, maybe unloading, loading back up.
Right.
But it becomes really a hub of a community as well. And I think that that's what people don't understand, that Will County has a lot of that availability and accessibility, because we do have I-80, so we're right in the central area.
Right.
But also, what are the other types
Well,
of
we have-
benefits that we have?
We
here?
have Lewis Airport,
Okay,
and that's a pretty big airport for
Sure.
a small airport, so to speak.
Right.
And then we have an airport up by Crete area, Crete,
Okay, yeah.
Moni up there.
Right.
And that's not the Peatone Airport. I'm talking one that's functioning right now.
right, it's not our future third airport, so to speak,
And
yeah.
we have rail. We have the Burlington Northern Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm.
They have a huge hub here, and they're talking about adding on. We also have the CNN.
Right,
You know, and they're really big. I mean, we have that railroad there. Then we have barges.
Right.
We have the river. So we have all that. So we have every amenity that Chicago has. And if you go back in history, there was a battle between Joliet and Chicago to see where the mainstay of Illinois would be.
interesting.
And Chicago won out. And I
Chicago
don't
won
know
out
why.
at the time, probably because of the Great Lakes, but now with the infrastructure that we have now and the intermodal and the amount of traffic that we have going through, if you think about it, we have rail, truck, boat, plane, so all the different mechanisms that can be available. And we still have land here, right?
And we have a lot of land.
We have a lot of land, and so that can
we,
build up
we have
that,
so much to offer.
right,
And I think that's real important, because that's one of the reasons that the SBA, I was telling you one point about the Small Business Administration.
right,
They look at Will County as somewhere where we can start moving ahead. Like we have a chance to have positive forward motion.
and isn't that called a hub zone?
A part of it is called Hub Zone. It's
Tell us about that, what does
a
that
Hub
mean?
Zone is a underserved economic development area.
Okay,
And 3% of all federal contracts must go to a Hub Zone certified company. And in Joliet, probably between 85 and 90% of Joliet is in a Hub Zone.
wow.
So-
So that gives a lot of economic opportunity
my
for
God,
companies
yes.
coming in here.
So because of that, we're going out. I belong to a group, it's a volunteer, you know, I don't
Okay.
get paid for none of this stuff.
Sure.
But I meet in Chicago once a month, and when we had the Economic Development Committee, I used to meet, and I'd bring it back to Chuck Mayer, so he was the chairman at the time, and let him know what's going on. And then we had a meeting with all the unions at
Okay.
the 150 Hall, because I'm of the feeling, and so was the union officials, was Tom White and Jason Cox, that there's no reason on earth our contractors out of Will County can't get federal contracts. And so we had the meeting, and nothing really came of it other than a lot of information.
Now, isn't it true, though, that I think it's Ron Miller, is he the one that's out
Yes,
there?
Ron Miller's the head of the SBA for Illinois.
And so you're able to then gear or navigate Illinois or Will County companies to Ron, who
Correct.
then can get the designations that are necessary and assist them then get the government grants
And Ron
potentially.
has been, well, we were at the New Life Kalian Church over in Joliet with
Okay.
Pastor Posey. We did a presentation with Ron Miller over there for the Black Association of Businesses.
Okay.
With Cornell Darden.
Okay,
And that went really well. The people there were kind of surprised that anything goes as far as that. They need clothes. So there was Diane Harris has a boutique, and she found out, well, hell, they need her clothes.
so
So-
all of this can come together to
Yeah,
economically develop
They
our
need
area.
every single thing that you could think of they use, because now you have an Army base, so they need doctors, lawyers, dentists. They need staffing agencies to staff different clerical things. They need all that. They also need people that supply toothpaste and.
Interesting, yeah, and you don't think about that. I mean, you think about that there's somebody that makes that widget, somebody that makes that product. And so by having this economic development structure, Will County really has a lot to offer for the future.
Right.
And it's really making sure that we are all aware of what issues are out there, aware of what we have here and the value, and look forward to that economic development in the future.
Absolutely.
So
It's great.
the mission is bright, or the future is bright. We just have to be smart about how we get there.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a pleasure talking to you. I'm so glad
Thank
that we
you.
were able to talk about economic development here in Will County.